Let's look at skin. When we look at the skin, it's important to know that we have different layers. With this top layer here, the epidermis, we have the deeper layer called the dermis, and then the deepest layer is the subcutaneous or the hypodermis. Epidermis has 4 to 5 different layers to it, microscopic layers. The dermis has 2 main layers. You can see it here, the superficial being the papillary and the deeper portion being the reticular. Papillary is like upper 20% and then the deep 80% the reticular. In this dermal layer, we have a lot of accessory structures. We have like sweat gland, we have oil gland, we have muscle, we have nerve. There's lots of stuff going on there. In the hypodermis, we have fat and we have blood vessels. Just to review what we covered before, remember there's fluid connective tissue, there's supporting connective tissue, and then there's connective tissue proper. When we talked about supporting connective tissue, that was bone and that was cartilage. What were the 3 types of cartilage? Hyaline, elastic, and fibro. Elastic is found like nose, found in the ear, it's found in the epiglottis, it's found in the eustachian tube. When we talk about connective tissue, blood and lymph, like red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. When we talk about connective tissue proper, there's loose connective tissue, which is areolar, adipose, and reticular. And besides loose, there's dense, regular, dense, irregular, and dense elastic. Again, I've seen pop up in a different way when they have these 4 topics: epithelium, connective, muscle, nerve. And under epithelium, you have to drag and drop the different types of epithelium. So simple squamous, squamous, simple columnar, and pseudo-stratified columnar. These are all different types of epithelium. But under connective tissue, areolar, adipose, right? Then you have elastic cartilage, hyaline cartilage, compact bone. Under nervous tissue, that was the neuron, which is nervous. And under muscle is smooth, cardiac, and skeletal. Again, under elastic cartilage, well, we said elastic, the external ear, which is the pinna, or the auricle of the ear, the epiglottis, which is the flap that closes off the windpipe. So when you swallow food, you don't have food going down the wrong pipe. The epiglottis closes off the windpipe. The eustachian tube inside the ear, that's when your altitude changes and you hear your ears pop. You kind of hold your nose and kind of blow a little bit. You can get that balancing out between the external ear and the inner ear. Hyaline cartilage. The hyaline cartilage is found at the ends of the bones. It's found around the trachea, around the tracheal rings. That's hyaline cartilage. It's also found in the thyroid cartilage, known as the Adam's apple, and then the nasal septum. Okay. Fibrocartilage would be the pubic symphysis, where the pubic bones come together. The intervertebral discs between each vertebrae, that's fibrocartilage, very, very strong. And even the meniscus, the menisci of the knee, is fibrocartilage, the medial and lateral meniscus. So we did this one already, right? Elastic cartilage is branching elastic fibers. Fibrocartilage is type 1 collagen fiber, and type 2 collagen fiber is hyaline cartilage. And then to review the different types of connective tissue was connective tissue proper. That's loose and dense. Loose was areolar, adipose, and reticular. Under dense was regular and irregular and elastic. Under supporting tissue, we have cartilage and bone. Under bone was compact bone. That was the osteon. the osteon, the lacunae, the concentric lamellae, the Haversian canal, osteocytes, the osteoblast, and osteoclast, all of that terminology. Under cartilage was hyaline, elastic, and fibrocartilage. And under fluid connective tissue was blood, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Let's go back to the skin now. The upper portion is the epidermis. We have about 4 or 5 different layers. The dermis is the papillary and reticular layer, and then the subcutaneous, also known as the hypodermis. So let's take a look at what's highlighted here. The highlighted section, the upper portion, is the epidermis. Everything that's deep here, from here to here, this would be dermis. And below that would be the hypodermis. When we look at the epidermis, here's the apical surface atop, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stratum layers. Stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, spinosum, and germinatavum. So little silly mnemonic to remember it is Cher loves getting skin Botox. Now the reason why I say Botox is the stratum germinatavum is sometimes called the stratum basal layer. The stratum basal or stratum germinatavum. So Cher loves getting skin Botox, basal, stratum basal. The stratum corneum, this top layer, is around 25 to 30 layers of flat, stratified squamous cells. They're flat and irregular shaped cells. The lucidum, lucid is clear. This is found where you have thick skin. The stratum lucidum is only found in the palms of the hand and the soles of the feet. That's it. Every other part of your body that has skin is not going to have the stratum lucidum except the palms and the soles of the feet, where you have more friction. Then you have the stratum granulosum. It's a grainy, granular layer. It does produce some oils. The stratum spinosum is very spiny looking. And the germinatavum here, this germinative layer, this is where your stem cells are. And these cells multiply and divide, and they push upward. They keep pushing up, 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 up until it hits the surface. To go from here, the bottom layer, to the top layer takes about 4 weeks. Then you have these dermal papilla right here. These dermal papilla are involved in giving you your fingerprint. They're involved in the fingerprint. So now we look at these different layers. Here's the stratum corneum, the top layer. Then you have the stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and then you have the basal layer, the germinatavum or stratum basal. Inferior to that is the dermis. These 5 layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all make up the epidermis. So what layer is this? Where we see the arrow pointing to the top. It is a group of stratum corneum, 25 to 30 layers. So that's stratum corneum. So this is stratum corneum up here. What's this yellow highlighted one? Cher loves, so that's stratum lucidum. Now what's the most bottom layer? It's either stratum germinatavum or stratum basal. In this case, stratum. Okay. What's the highlighted section here? This is epidermis. The highlighted one is now dermis. The deepest part, hypodermis or subcutaneous. They're interchangeable terms. And then the highlighted here, this is involved in giving you the fingerprint. Those are the dermal papillae. Dermal papillae. Finishing up, last but not least, we'll just talk about the nails here. Let me do this in a final video.